Hello, partners. My name is Sebastian Verlaine, and I'm joined today with my colleagues from the Vertical Markets team, Sébastien Georges and Dieter Bax. And we're going to present the NAB show briefing. In this briefing, we'll talk about the EVS objectives for this show. We'll explain where to find us on the show floor, and of course, give you some illustrations of our booth design. Then we'll talk about how we're going to showcase our different solutions through market applications. And then I will end with the important events that you absolutely need to add to your calendar. In terms of show objectives, we have three main objectives. The first is to introduce our core solutions to the marketplace. You have to know that this is the first time since 2019 that a major trade show is actually going to take place. And it will be the first time that we're going to introduce our solutions at such an event. Of course, we'll be doing this by addressing key industry challenges, such as the transition to IP, remote production, cloud deployment, or the use of artificial intelligence. So it's also a world premiere in terms of the solutions and their branding, because this has never been shown at another trade show before. And so it will be important that not only you remember, but that you're able to promote our different solutions and recall them by their appropriate brand names. The second main objective is really to leverage the successful deployment of our LSM VIA. LSM VIA was launched in May 2020 and has been used at major sports events starting in 2020, but also and especially in 2021 with some key major events where the LSM VIA was successfully used for some high-level productions and in quite a large scope. And it's important to say that today we have over 650 units that are in use every day by the operator community. And one thing that is also important to mention is that this system is continually updated on a quarterly basis with some new features that, of course, our community is always excited about. Then the third and last main objective of this show for EVS is basically to reconnect with you, our partners, but also our customers. And so for that, we have decided to expand the networking space on our booth, but also organize a certain amount of events. And of course, we'll have our happy hours as usual at the end of each day. In terms of location and booth design, so there are some changes compared to 2019. So the South Hall is no longer in use, which means that we have moved to the North Hall. And of course, you'll be able to find us in this area. Also note that there's a new West Hall that is adjacent to the North Hall. In terms of our locations, so our booth number is 2625. Please remember that number, very important to locate us and to find us. And as you can see, there will be quite a lot of traffic coming from the Central Hall and heading towards the new West Hall. So we're in one of the main corridors, pretty much in the central location. As you can see, just across from us, we have Visarti. A little bit further down, Chiron, Blackmagic, and then of course Ross Video, Adobe, and Evertz a little bit to the left. As you can see, we're right there above 2625. In terms of the layout of our booth, so as I said earlier, we are trying to create more social networking space with a VIP lounge. Which you can have, some more intimate discussions with certain partners and customers, but also the sports bar, which is kind of the main attraction this year, which will include the welcome area, but which will also be very useful during our happy hours, and where you will have different screens above to either follow sports or follow some of the latest multimedia presentations that we will make available for the show. There is, next to the VIP lounge, an area with 2 large screens where you will have access to the internet, and in particular, certain website pages that we'll be referring to a little bit later on, and that is in particular the market application pages. But also other screens throughout the stand will be available where we'll have different animations and of course videos running continually. And then of course to the right you'll see that there are 2 main demo areas. One is the Sports and News Production Center demo area, which my colleague Sébastien Georges will talk about in just a few seconds, but also the OB and Flypack demo area, which Dieter will explain a little bit further as well. Here is a 3D rendering of the booth design, just to give you a glimpse of how it will look. The sports bar is at the heart, as you can see, and I think will be a great place for different sorts of animations throughout the day and some interesting discussions. The 2 demo areas to the right, as you can see further back, and of course the VIP lounge. And here's a look at inside the VIP lounge. So now I will hand the mic to Sébastien Georges to talk about the market applications.
Thank you, Sebastian. So first, let me quickly introduce those market applications. Basically, this is a new concept that we have introduced in our marketing collaterals on our website, on the signage on the booth, in different locations, to better explain and promote our solutions and products to our different vertical markets for our channels as well as our own sales. But so what do they look like? So what is a market application, first of all? A market application is the kind of very high-level system that your customers buy, design, and operate. For example, a truck, a Flypack, a news production centers, a stadium, a venue, or a transmission centers. All of those are a good example of what a market application is. And the reason why we're promoting those market applications and explain our offering in that context is because we want to make sure that EVS is not just known as the video server company or the media infrastructure company, but our customers realize that we have a very wide and a large variety of products and solutions to offer that can help them in their daily operations. So if we now look at our website, you will see how those market applications materialize on our current website. So if you go to the EVS website, there is now a new menu at the top called Applications. When you open that part of the website, you get access to different types of market applications that are described in more details when you click on those. For example, sports production centers, news production centers, or outside broadcast and Flypack. Let's, for example, open this one. This takes your customers to a page with, first of all, a picture to represent a little bit the type of application, and a short paragraph as an introduction to what this market application is all about. After that, we insist on the pain points, the challenges that your customers face daily when designing such a market application, a truck, for example, dealing with the transition to IP, trying to leverage cloud resources to expand your on-premise capabilities for production, and many other challenges and pain points. After that, there is a short diagram explaining and introducing the different types of products and solutions EVS can offer your customers for that market application, so a truck. Of course, in there, you will find the replan highlight part of our portfolio, which many customers of ours and yours know already today. But that's also where you will give pointers to the broadcast control and monitoring part of our portfolio, or the media infrastructure part, etc., etc. So all of that information is gathered and available from this diagram. After the diagram, we've created a section about the technology partners that we want to promote for that market application. So they are the partners that have certified certain workflows in the context of that market application and our solutions. So it's not a full list of EVS partners, which would be way longer than this. Those are really partners that we have preferred relationships with because they did that effort of certifying their workflows along our products. After that, there is a section about the insights and expertise. This is typically where we will showcase references, case studies that are relevant in that context. So trucks in that case, for example, as well as white papers to share some thought leadership, insight on new challenges that the industry is facing for such market application. With a quote. And finally, there is a get in touch call to action to invite our common customers to get in touch with us and create new opportunities for all of us. So you will find those market applications on the show floor. First, on the signage on the booth to invite people to go to the right demonstration to start with, as well as on the walls for presentations to get more information about our offering for those different verticals and applications. With this, I'd like to, so again, the purpose of those market applications is to introduce our solutions to customers, to our common customers. And so I'd like to invite Dieter to go more in details about those solutions now.
Thank you, Sebastian, and hello, channel partners. So what I want to do is dive a little bit further into the solution part of things. So the market applications has just been explained by Sebastian. Solutions is a combination of products. So we have a lot of different products, but sometimes you need multiple of those to actually solve a problem, solve the way of how people work. And so we have different categories in that, and we can combine those products together, but in the end, that's maybe not enough. And that's where we also start leveraging partners or third-party systems. Like in a live production environment, it's important that our servers work with cameras. In some broadcast centers, it's important that we work with storage. And in the infrastructure part of things, it's important that we integrate our control system into an SDI router. So basically, by combining all these products together, we are creating value, and it gives you additional reasons to sell to your customers. If we look at those different ones, we have actually three different categories. The first one is liveception, and is live production replays and highlight solutions that elevate the fan experience. So it's all the tools that are focused on live, fast turnaround production. Secondly is mediaception, focused on product asset management solutions for fast and easy content turnaround. Here, the asset management is more important in that case. And then the third one is media infra, which is routing and infrastructure solutions to control and process all media workflows. That is the third pillar that we're talking about. These are also the colors and the names that you will see appearing on the different demonstration walls that we will have. The first one that I would like to focus on is outside broadcast and flyback. So this will be one side of the demonstration area where we will focus on two different solution sets. One liveception and one media infra. Liveception is really focused in this case around replay and highlights. And as you can see in the screens below, how they will look is that we focus on the well-known XT-VIA platform and then the new user experience with LSM-VIA that we recently, or let's say a year and a half ago, introduced to the market. LSM-VIA is now also able to talk about or connect to XT-Go, so we can also talk about that in engaging with customers. And on the right side, there's some extra motion in XFile 3. Next to the liveception and the replay and highlights tagline, you will also see 3 bullet points, and those are pain points or problems that customers or your customers are facing in an outside broadcast and flyback environment. One of the things is easy scalability. They need to add an additional channel count. They need to add another position for operations. So here it's important that it can be easily done. Add another XT-VIA, add another server through the XNet capabilities, add another LSM-VIA position, new replay position. This can be locally or remote. And this brings us to the second point that we have, and that's remote operations. As LSM-VIA is IP enabled, it helps you deploy easier with less investment the remote operations to an outside broadcast and flyback. This also ties in a little bit into the media infra side related to the low latency compression that I will talk about in a few seconds. And then, of course, our full portfolio, if it is the VIA server, if it is the xFile 3, we do support through our portfolio HDR, Full HD, UHD, and SuperMotion support. It's important for us that there can be conversion on the file level, there can be AI that we leverage through extra motion to generate SuperMotion, or that our servers are capable of recording SuperMotion. So all of that can be showcased and can be shown in that left side of the outside broadcast and flyback application. For media infra, on the right side, we will focus on control and media processing. We don't care if the truck is in SDI or IP, or maybe it's a mix of both. Both of them can be leveraged and can be shown through Cerebrum. The low latency compression is something else that we start to address with the Neuron JPEG XS, where in this case, we can show some examples of that. And then the last but not least is the IP part of things. As once you start going into IP, there's an additional layer of complexity. It's quite easy to potentially build one truck in IP, but what if you need to interconnect multiple IP facilities that might have overlap in IP schemes? So here, one of the discussion points will be the media network isolation and some of the topics that you can discuss with our solution managers and our experts in the field. So this is the outside broadcast and flyback overview. And this is basically one side of the demo area. And the second demo area is the sports and news production centers, where Sebastian will give you a view on.
Thank you, Dieter. So indeed, the wall next to this one will be about sports and news production centers, really showcasing our solutions applicable to the creation of a generalist production center, producing news, sports, entertainment, or a mix of all of that. On this wall, you will find three different demo positions. A mediaception demonstration position, a media infra one in the middle, and finally, a liveception switching position on the right-hand side. Let's start with the mediaception position. So mediaception, again, is really our solution for content management for fast turnaround workflows. So the key pain points that we help our customers with that solution, it's really about fast turnaround production, when time to air matters, when you only have a few minutes or you have to be live and make sure that you can make the best storytelling possible with this time constraint during the production. On top of that, that's also where flexibility matters. So what kind of flexibility? It's really about deployment, making sure that you can virtualize your backend, that you can use software-defined servers to optimize your utilization and reuse your resources in the most efficient manner going forward. Then the other pain point that COVID has made very important in the past years, it's supporting remote operations, distributed operations. So having large organizations with multiple sites and bureaus, having to work together, collaborate, exchange content, as well as supporting people working from home or from a hotel room or anywhere during a production. So we will showcase a number of solutions that really help production centers achieve that. Finally, the other trend or challenge that we'll explain in more details how mediaception help is or has to do with multiple types of format being mixed together. Full HD, HDR, SDR. Many people now are interested in doing 1080p HDR production, for example, but people at home are still equipped with SDR viewers for the majority of them. So how do you make sure that you can produce content using legacy content in SDR, fresh material in HDR, and make those people at home enjoy the experience? So all of that will be explained on the demo position, as well as a number of partnerships with different other vendors. The middle position now is about media infra, and more specifically about media infra strata and Cerebrum. Media infra strata is really our turnkey SDI IP routing solution, and we'll explain how this solution can help our customers smoothly transition from SDI to IP. So what is complicated during that transition, and how can we help our customers in that transition? Well, many of them have invested massive amounts of money into SDI equipments, and those equipments, sometimes it's hard and expensive to replace them by their IP equivalent. So making sure that you have a routing solution that can support those while being fully compatible for a full IP transition is really helpful. In the same manner, IP is something can be sometimes difficult to onboard all of your staff with because it requires expertise, it's new technology, and sometimes it can be complicated to deal with that transition in terms of change management. So making IP equipment feel like SDI broadcast equipment and providing very simple control panels to do that is also something we'll showcase on that demo position, thanks to Cerebrum, the control systems of EVS. Last but not least, on the right-hand side, you can see the liveception switching demonstration. And this is where we'll demonstrate DV, our software-defined production switcher. And the main message and position of this demonstration position will be about the flexibility DV can bring to your production. Most vision mixers in the market are traditional mixers using the concept of MEs, and they come with very heavy constraints for the editorial staff. Constraints in terms of setting up your transition, your effects, and they're restricted in how they can use that technology to achieve their production. With DV, there is no longer any kind of constraints that could limit their creativity. And that's really what the demonstration will be about, showcasing how you can unleash your creativity thanks to the software-defined nature of DV. If we now move on to kind of the conclusion of this part of the presentation, we'd like to make sure that you get a few takeaways that you can discuss with your customers on the show floor. And we'd like to do that per solution. So the three main solutions you will see on the show floor are MediaCeption, LiveCeption, and Media Infra. So let's first have a look at MediaCeption. MediaCeption, again, is the content management solution for live productions. In terms of, it will be demonstrated on one pod, one demo unit on the production center wall. And some of the highlights of the demonstration you will be able to share with your customers will include a new modern set of user interfaces, completely refreshed compared to the previous versions you've seen before COVID, that are quite intuitive and require very minimum training to adapt and use. Another key aspect of that solution is its flexibility in terms of formats and codecs. So formats, multiple frame rates, 24p, 25p, as well as long-up formats to optimize your infrastructure costs to run your production facility. So all of that will be available on the demo position. Then we will also showcase a number of integrations with third-party editing platforms, Avid, Adobe, for example, as well as technology partners that help us enable remote and distributed workflows for your customers. For example, Teradici for PC over IP, so being able to work remotely and access the equipment in the main facility, as well as Blackbird Video, so that anybody from home or from anywhere can edit content stored locally or centrally in your facility. And last but not least, many people are looking or investigating going into UHD or at least 1080p HDR. Doing so comes with a number of challenges because, again, mixing different types of content can be quite complicated. And so we will explain how we can make those workflows simple and straightforward, thanks to end-to-end HDR and HDR conversions, and also interop, being able to integrate with third-party NLEs in SDR, HDR, and keeping control over what you're doing in that workflow. Next is Media Infra, and I will give the mouse to Dieter to explain this in more details.
Thank you. Indeed. So Media Infra, so infrastructure management and processing. So in this case, we are showcasing basically, we have two demo positions, one on the outside broadcast and flyback and one on the production centers. One of the main focuses is the turnkey SDI IP routing solution, which is Media Infra Strada, which you might have heard of. If you haven't, check it out on that on the production center side of things. On both positions, we will be demonstrating broadcast control and monitoring systems. So that's basically Cerebrum that allows you to control any SDI or IP infrastructure and monitor that at the same time, which is quite important because you need to be able to see what's happening on the network, and this especially in IP. And here we are also announcing at the show the SDN network management and orchestration as part of our broadcast control and monitoring system. In addition to that, once you're managing all of your infrastructure, what's also important is the real-time IP and SDI video and audio processing and potentially conversion, including HDR. Sebastian already mentioned file-based conversion. Here we're talking about real-time processing. So real-time processing of these feeds. And we at EVS, we don't care if it's IP or SDI. It's a solution that you can offer to your customers. And we have different sorts of products and solutions for that. In addition, also in the OB part is the real-time JPEG access compression for remote live production and contribution. And again, here, the latency is key, making it very efficient in a live production environment with very low latency. And there will be some demos where you can show what a visually lossless compression means and vice versa. And you will have some time to discuss that with the different demonstrators, in our case, on both demo positions. So these are the takeaways for media infra. And then, of course, last but not least, the liveception part for live production replay and highlights. I spoke already about the LSM VIA demos, and so there's actually 2 demo positions on the outside broadcast specifically dedicated to LSM VIA, and then 1 for the Divi for the live switching part. And the aim for the LSM VIA topic is really for superior quality replays. We very often talk about XT VIA, but don't forget XT Go. LSM VIA is capable of controlling an XT Go as well at another price point. At EVS, for us, what's important is that it doesn't matter which scale of production you're doing, that the quality is good. And this gives you more opportunity as our channel partners to also sell into lower tier productions where needed. Faster media sharing through an easy to deploy network. It is important for your customers to scale at the moment when they need it. They might want to add more channel density. They might want to add more operators. And that's where the scaling becomes easier, and that's important for us at EVS. There's also the seamless integration to pre and post production, including the HDR conversion. Talking again file-based, but having that integration, taking your SuperMotion content from a venue back to your post-production, or having legacy content come into your live production environment and converting that easily without needing HDR specialists in the truck. They can leverage X-File in this case to easily convert from one to the other, including already a bunch of LUTs that we're by default adding into the package. And then the on-demand cloud-based SuperMotion using AI. Extra Motion, as we call the product, is available for demos there, and it will showcase how you can make from regular or super slow-mo cameras even more slow motion content to enhance your storytelling and get the return on emotion, as we always say. And then last but not least is the Divi part, the create freedom for true scalability, is where the switching gives you the freedom to switch whatever you want and do some creative aspects to bring the story to the people. So these are the key takeaways for the 3 different solutions that we have. Keep them in mind, and then I will hand over back to Sebastian, who will talk about the different events that we will have during the NAB show.
Thank you, Dieter. I think that indeed the market applications and our solutions will definitely help to explain what we are doing, what we're offering. The value proposition has changed a little bit in the last 2 years, so I hope that this will be useful information. And don't hesitate to go to our website to discover for yourselves these different market applications. In terms of events, so we have a few events that we have scheduled so far. There may be more coming, but at present, basically we have our pre-NAB for our LATAM channel partners that will be taking place at our Burbank office from April 18th to the 20th. Then we have the channel partner booth tour, which I encourage you to come to, because I think this is where you'll actually see in person and physically what we're talking about in this presentation. So that will be taking place on Sunday, April 24th, so the opening day of the show, at 9 a.m. on our booth, which is, of course, booth 2625. There is an IABM CEO panel discussion where our CEO, Serge Van Erck, will be taking part in, and that will be held on Monday, April 25th in the IABM member lounge at 9:20 in the morning. And then, of course, we have a channel partner event, which is on the Monday evening at the Gordon Birch Brewery. And of course, you're all invited, so we hope to see you there. And then lastly, we will have our happy hour every day on the show floor starting at 5. And with this, I just would like to thank you. I hope this information was useful. Remember that you have your sales managers that are available as well if you have questions. We remain available as well. And well, we hope to see you in Vegas.